Friends, now we are going to discuss important multiple choice questions related to elements of cost and the cost sheet, right? So let us start with first question, and it says of cost dash of cost means the primary classification of cost according to the factors upon which expenditure is incurred. And here options are elements, division, formation, none of these. See friends, elements of cost means the primary classification of cost according to the factors upon which expenditure is incurred. So here option A is the right answer. Let us move on the next question, and it asks us which of the following is are the elements of cost, and options are material cost, labor cost, expenses, and all of this. See friends, material, labor, and expenses, all these three are the elements of cost. So here option D is the right answer. Right. Let us move on the next question, and next question says the total of direct material, direct wages, and direct expenses is called. See friends, as this question is related to the classification of cost or classification of elements, okay, into direct and indirect. Particularly this question asks us about the direct material, direct wages, and direct expenses. Okay, so is called, see friends, the total of direct material, direct wages, and direct expenses is called prime cost. So here option C is the right answer. We are going to discuss the format of cost sheet here so that you can understand the concept of elements and cost sheet properly, and accordingly you will be able to answer the uh, every question related to these elements and cost sheet, right? So for this question, the total of direct material, direct wages, and direct expenses is called prime cost. Next question says dash is the total of indirect material, indirect wages, and indirect expenses. See friends, the question number third was related to direct material, direct wages, and indirect expenses, and fourth is related to indirect material, indirect wages, and indirect expenses. See, so total of direct material, direct wages, and direct expenses is called prime cost, whereas the total of indirect material, indirect wages, and indirect expenses is called overheads. So here option D is the right answer for this. Here students, I would like to share with you the format of cost sheet, and this is the format of simple cost sheet, so that you can understand the various question related to this. See, in cost sheet, first we take the direct material or cost of material consumed, then we add direct labor into it, then when we add direct expenses we'll get the prime cost or direct cost. Okay, so the total of direct material, direct labor, and direct expenses is prime cost basically. Then when we add factory overheads or on cost expenses into this, okay, so here you can see that factory overheads are also known as on cost expenses. So here in this way multiple choice question can be asked as the factory overheads are also known as dash. So factory overheads are also known as on cost expenses, right? So when we add prime cost, when we add factory overheads into the prime cost, we get factory cost or work cost, right? So here again see, friends, you can see that again the multiple choice question can be asked like that. Factory cost is also known as work cost, right? So here see, if the format of cost sheet is clear to you, yes, see friends, this is the simple cost sheet or format of simple cost sheet. I'm going to discuss the format of cost sheet with stock adjustment as well in this same video, right? So that every concept related to this topic is clear and you will be able to answer the questions accordingly, right? So when we add factory overheads in prime cost, we get factory cost or work cost, right? So factory cost is also known as work cost, right? Then when we add office or administrative overheads, then we'll get cost of production, right? So when factory cost or in factory cost we add office and administrative overheads, sorry, we get cost of production, right? Then when we add selling and distribution overheads into it, we get the cost of sales or total cost, right? Cost of sales or total cost. And when we add the profit in it, we'll get selling price or sales, right? So see friends, this is the simple cost sheet or the format of simple cost sheet where you can understand the various elements of cost. So as we discussed that the direct material, direct labor and direct expenses, or the material, labor and expenses, these three are the elements of the cost, right? And when we add direct labor, direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, we get prime cost, right? Similarly, we have discussed that indirect material, indirect labor and indirect expenses are considered as overheads, and overheads are classified into three categories. See friends, here three categories are here. First one is factory overheads or on cost overhead. This is first category of overhead. Then second one is office and administrative overheads. This is second category of overhead. And third, selling and distribution overheads. Right. So uh, when we add factory overheads, we get factory cost. When we add office and administrative overheads, we get cost of production. And when we add selling and distribution overhead, we get cost of sales or total cost. And adding profit, we can decide the selling price. Right. So here, as it is clear to you that there is a classification of material as direct material and indirect material. Similarly, there is a classification of labor as direct labor and indirect labor. So we are going to discuss about that because see, 100% the MCQs or can be asked in examination on these things, that direct material, indirect material, all these things. Now, I hope that the format of simple cost sheet is clear to you. Right. Let us move on the few questions, and then I would like to show you the format of cost sheet with stock adjustment, right? Now let us move on the next question. It says the overheads are classified into dash categories. So here we discussed that overheads are classified into three categories: at factory overheads, office and administrative overheads, and selling and distribution overheads. So here option B is the right answer. See friends, if your format is clear, then you can easily answer the various multiple choice questions, right? Now let us move on the next question, and next question says the total cost is the sum of prime cost and dash. So see, in previous cost sheet, a simple cost sheet, we discussed that the total cost is the sum of prime cost and overheads. When we add all the three overheads into the prime cost, we get the total cost, right? So here option C is the right answer. That is, the total cost is the sum of prime cost and overheads. Right. I hope this question is also clear. See, friends, one more time, I would like to show you the format of simple cost. See, the question was that the total cost is the sum of prime cost and all these three overheads. Right. So in this way, if the format is clear, then you can answer the various questions. Right. Now, friends, I would like to share with you the cost sheet with stock adjustments. In previous slide, we discussed about the simple cost sheet. Now see uh, what is in this in the cost sheet with stock adjustment. So here we prepare stock cost sheet with stock adjustment with the opening stock of raw material. We add purchases of raw material in it. Then materials used in primary package is added in this. Then carriage inward and freight inward is added. Then octroi, customs duty, excise, etc. are added. Then loading and unloading expenses on purchases are added. And uh, after addition of all these things, we subtract the closing stock of raw material and purchase returns of raw material. Okay, then sale of scrap of raw materials. From that, then defective raw materials, then value of byproducts, and then we'll get cost of material consumed, right? So in simple cost sheet, we have discussed that the uh, prime cost is the total of direct material, direct labor and direct expenses. But see friends, the direct labor includes all these things: Cost of material consumed means basically direct material, right? Direct material and cost of material consumed is the same thing. So this direct material includes all these things. So you can see that purchase of raw material is related to direct material. Materials used in primary packaging, it is direct, right? So these are the basically direct expenses, right? So which are related to the purchase of raw material, and all these expenses are added in the cost of material consumed, right? So here see friends, very important points are here, that which points are added: purchase of raw material, material used in primary packaging. So whatever material used in primary packaging, see there is difference between primary packaging and secondary packaging, friends. See, primary packaging means, see, the packaging of toothpaste. You cannot use toothpaste without that tube, okay, without that primary packaging. So that packaging is must for toothpaste, use of toothpaste. That is primary packaging. And what is secondary packaging? So secondary packaging, like when bathing soap is put into the box, that box is secondary packaging, right? So secondary packaging is basically indirect material, but primary packaging is direct material, right? So we are going to discuss about that in next multiple choice questions, but here just keep in mind the important concepts or important points related to the cost sheet with stock adjustment, right? Then carriage inward is added, freight, octroi, custom duty, loading and unloading expenses are added. Here see friends, question can be asked that how cost of material consumed is calculated, right? Or cost of material consumed is calculated by adding opening stock with what. So we can add these things, okay. Then question can ask like this way ki, uh, uh, when while calculating cost of material consumed, uh, dash is subtracted from opening stock of raw materials and all these things. So we subtract closing stock of raw material, then purchase return of raw material if defective goods are returned, then sale of scrap of raw material. See, sale of scrap of raw material is subtracted while we calculate the cost of material consumed. Then defective raw material returns, we have to subtract the value of defective raw materials also. And value of byproduct, see friends, question can be asked on this, that value of byproduct is added, subtracted, or what. So we know now it is clear that value of byproduct is subtracted from opening stock of raw material to calculate the cost of material consumed. Now I hope the concept of direct material or cost of material consumed, see friends, I am repeating it again and again, that cost of material consumed is nothing but the direct material, right? So now we have discussed in simple cost sheet that when we add labor and all these things in this cost of material consumed, we get prime cost, right? So see here, cost of material consumed as calculated in previous slide. Now I have taken it as the only amount of cost of material consumed. Then when we add direct wages, so now see what is considered as the direct wages. So direct labor or direct wages or productive wages, if word is productive wages, then it is considered as direct. Then operating wages, productive wages payable, all these are the part of direct wages. Then when we add direct expenses like direct charges, then royalty, chargeable expenses. Now see friends, royalty is basically direct expense. The question can be asked like which of the following is direct expenses. So royalty, chargeable expenses, these are the direct expenses. Then cost of layout, then surveyors fees is also the direct expense. Then hire of special machinery, architect's fee, all these are the direct expenses. Then cost of special drawings, designs, right? So these are the direct expenses, right? And 100% the question can be asked on these things, like which of the following is direct expenses, or surveyor's fees is dash. So service fees is direct expenses, indirect expenses, non-cost, like this options can be given, right? So see friends, these are these are very important point. So you have to learn these, memorize this, so that you can answer the questions related to this. Okay, so as we have already discussed that when we add direct wages and direct expenses in material cost, we get prime cost, right? And after prime cost, we have to add factory overheads, then office and administrative overheads, and then selling and distribution overheads to get the total cost, right? So here in prime cost, now point is about the factory overheads or on cost expenses or works overheads, right? So see, as I have already said that the question can be asked like that, factory overheads is also known as, so on cost expenses can be the answer, or works overhead, right? When we add factory overheads, we get work cost or factory cost. Now the points are related to the factory overheads, that indirect material is basically factory overheads, indirect wages, it is also factory overheads. So here just key memorize these points. Then indirect expenses, power, coal, gas, okay, all these are considered as factory overheads. Then factory heating and lighting, fuel, then factory rent, rates and taxes, these are the factory overheads, right? So now I hope that the concept of simple cost sheet and cost sheet with stock adjustment, and how the expenses are classified as direct expenses and indirect, then what is included in factory overheads. Similarly, when we add the office or administrative overheads, it includes the charges of stationery, salary of staff, like these general points are considered as office or administrative overheads. See friends, overheads are nothing but the indirect expenses, those expenses which we cannot attribute to a particular elements of cost. So all those are considered as overheads, and overheads are classified as factory overheads, and uh, office and administrative overheads, and selling and distribution overheads. Okay, in next questions also the concept related to this will be clear. So now let us discuss the next question. It asks us the difference between the sales and a dash is profit or loss. So see, this question is can be answered if the format of cost sheet is clear in your mind, right? The difference between the sales and uh, dash is profit. So difference between sales and total cost, we have discussed that, right? So here option B is the right answer. Let us move on the next question, and it says the material which can be easily identified in a product is called, and options are fixed material, indirect material, direct material, and packaging material. See, the material which can be easily identified in a product is direct material, like timber in furniture, right? Whatever material used in the toothpaste, that can be a direct material, right? So the material which can easily identified in a product is direct material. And then what is indirect material? Indirect material is one which gets consumed in the production process, like oil, greasing. Even see friends, in cloth making, the thread use is also considered as the indirect material, though it is the part of the finished product, right? So for particularly for this question, the material which can be easily identified in a product is called direct material. So here option C is the right answer. Let us move on the next question, and it says primary packaging material is considered as. So we have already discussed about that in the format of the cost sheet, that primary packaging material is considered as direct material. So here option B is the right answer. Let us move on the next question, and it says the material which cannot be identified with cost of unit is called. So which can be identified, that is direct material, and which cannot be identified, it is indirect material, right? So here option D is the right answer. Indirect materials, see friends, indirect materials are those materials which are used in the production process, but they get consumed in the production process, like oil, or some consumables, or cleaning materials used in the production process. The material is required, but it doesn't form the part of final product. So those material is considered as indirect material. So the material which cannot be identified with cost of unit is called indirect material. So here option D is the right answer. Let us move on the next question, and next question says the wages paid to the workers who are indirectly engaged in production process are called, obviously, who are indirectly engaged. So it is indirect labor, and the labor which is directly engaged, that is direct labor. So here the sentence says the wages paid to the workers who are indirectly engaged is basically indirect labor, right? See friends, up till now we have discussed about the direct material, indirect material. So there, the questions or the scope on the questions is more on the direct material and indirect material. But the concept of direct labor and indirect labor is simple, basically. So that's why I have framed only one question on this. Okay, so the wages paid to the worker who are indirectly engaged, it is indirect labor, and who are directly labor, it is direct labor. Now, next question, direct expenses are also called, see, we have already discussed that direct expenses are also called chargeable expenses. So here option A is the right answer. Next question says overheads are divided as. So we have discussed this in the format. So we have overheads are divided as factory overheads, office and administrative overheads, selling and distribution overheads. So here all of this is the uh, answer. So here option D is the right. See friends, we have discussed that factory overheads includes various points like indirect material, then factory lighting, coal, etc. Then office and administrative overhead includes the salary, then the printing and stationery, telephone charges, etc. So all general expenses are considered as office. Then selling and distribution overheads includes advertisement, right? Then delivery and expenses, carriage outward. These are the selling and distribution overheads, right? I hope now the concept of overhead is also clear. Now let us move on the next question. See, next question is on carriage outward is. So carriage outward is basically selling and distribution overhead. So as we have already discussed, so here option B is the right answer. Now let us move on the next question, and it says cost remains fixed irrespective of volume of production. See friends, this question is on the classification of cost, right? So we'll discuss with the options. The options are fixed cost, variable cost, semi-variable cost. As this is direct question, sentence says dash cost remains fixed irrespective of volume of production. It means if volume of production is increased, this cost remains fixed. If volume of production decrease, the cost remains fixed. The volume doesn't affect this cost. So this cost is known as fixed cost, right? Now here I would like to explain these two concepts, that variable cost and semi-variable cost. See friends, variable cost is the cost which varies as per the volume of production, right? Here I would like to give the example of variable cost, and it is direct material or material. See, the material cost will increase if the production increases, and material cost will decrease if the production decreases, right? So basically material or direct material is variable cost. And what is the example of fixed cost? Example of fixed cost is like the depreciation expenses or insurance or rent or salary of senior staff. These are the example of fixed cost which remains fixed irrespective of the volume of production, right? Then third category or third classification of cost is related to semi variable cost. See, semi variable cost is one which some cost is one of which some part remains fixed and some part is variable. Example of semi variable cost is like the telephone charges. So we know that certain fixed charges are there for the telephone uses if the telephone is used in the office. So there are certain fixed charges, and if remaining charges or other charges are related to the use. Okay, when the more calls are made on the telephone, then bill will be high. Another example related to semi variable cost is that of the electricity charges. So we know that certain fixed charges are there for electricity meter, and if the more electricity is consumed, then we'll get more bill, right? So in this way, the semi-variable cost is there in the organization, right? So basically, fixed cost, variable cost, and semi-variable cost. This is the classification of cost on the behavior of cost, right? Fixed cost remains fixed irrespective of the volume of production. Variable cost, it varies as per the volume of production. And semi-variable cost, it's some portion is fixed and some portion is variable, right? So I hope now the concept of classification of cost on the behavior is also clear here, right? So here, for particularly this question, dash cost remains fixed. So it is fixed cost remains fixed. Next question is related to dash is a statement which shows the total cost of product or job. So it is nothing but the cost sheet. Cost sheet is also known as statement of cost, right? So here option B is the right answer. That is, cost sheet is a statement which shows the total cost of product or job. So friends, here we have discussed the important questions related to the elements of cost and cost sheet. So I hope now the concept of elements and cost sheet is clear, right? Here I would like to stop now because of the time limit. Thank you friends, thanks for watching, and make sure that you have subscribed this channel and like, comment on the video. Thank you friends, thanks for watching.